hobby.
So the team left at the same time, or was it right before?
It was before. They had been like absorbed into other areas of the company. Quite a few of them still work for Twitch.
Yes.
So you guys lose your creative support staff that were, partnering people and working with you guys. And then you have a category of creative broken down into 4 smaller subcategories. How did this affect creative as a whole? Was this a good thing or a bad thing, or like what changed at this time?
I think for a lot of people, it was very hard to get introduction to like new viewership. There's just so many people that were broken off into different areas. They didn't have the creative, what I used to call the creative carousel. Like creative had its own front page kind of category. And it was just very hard to get that visibility, especially because there was like unique tags. And when somebody were to like, just how everything was kind of organized was like very like, oh my God, where do we go? And a lot of people were also making that jump and confusion between doing just chatting and art. There was like some of those like overlapping where you could put yourself in 2 different categories at once. And that was a lot of confusion going on. And it was more or less like people were trying to figure out where to jump to as a landing pad.
Right. It seems like it also diluted the category as well.
There's I feel like it did. I don't know that that's the truth of it, because there hasn't been anything published that says these categories have grown by X amount with that change. I think it's interesting because we had asked Twitch, right? Like, where would you put woodworking or sewing or makers and crafting? Said, what's going to happen if I stream an art? Nothing. I stream an art. Right. So the categories are also somewhat, it's skewed. Right. And you have, I mean, I looked it up while we were here. Did I close it? I probably. Art has like 3 times the amount of viewership right now.
As opposed to
makers and crafting. I'm sorry. Yes.
Makers and crafting.
Yeah. And then food and drink has 830. It's hard to sell your stream if you're in a category with 830. Like, that's it. Well, and 170 of those are the Hungry channel.
The other factor, of course, is people being there for the creator and or community and or stream itself versus the category, right? Because I mean, like, I see this all the time, and I'm like, oh, what should I play today? Maybe I'll base my decision on metrics, and I'll go look at games, and I'll see some game I've never heard of before that has like 5,000 people watching, and I'm like, whoa, did that just launch? And it launched like 8 years ago, and there's just like one streamer who's streaming it with 5,000 people, right?
Right.
Yeah.
If I went and got into that category, that streamer gets offline, I don't get any of those views. That's not somebody who's like, ooh, I want to see so much more of this. It's like they were only there for that one person. And that is also true, I assume, in categories, in other creative categories. If somebody who is a gaming-centric streamer then goes and streams themselves cooking something, those aren't people who are then going to intrinsically filter out into the rest of the category, right?
Right.
So even then, like, the numbers you should like chop that down a bit to look at like what's practically valuable in those categories.
Right. Yeah. And I get it. Streamers have to do what's best for them. But like, when I sew, I try to, I go back and forth because I know a lot of people on the platform, it's 4.5 years in, but especially when I was newer, it was, let's find another sewing streamer. Right, expose let's expose, and especially if I'm rated by a gaming streamer. Hey, look, there's other people. Come look. But the not many people who do what you mentioned raid within that category.
Yeah.
Or even talk about the category. It's just, we're just going to cook today, and just FYI, it's the thing I'm doing.
Yeah. So it feels less like a community than it did before when there was just one category.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when it was one category, everybody would it's one quick click to find who you want to go ahead and hang out with. And like, as long as hey, creative is like, we just knew, okay, everybody just does art here. or something like that. But I do think, at least from my understanding, when that broke up, we did see a lot of people. Music is like, even from YouTube analytics, has always been a very easy category to get into in terms of like boasting those numbers, because universally throughout all cultures, music is very easily to connect to, very easy to see and see results done quickly, versus things that take time to build, to paint, to make, to cook, take a little bit more attention span than an immediate satisfaction, is how I view it. Because like, people don't realize how long things take to make.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And so you lose that attention. It's like, how I theorize, like a lot of Twitch use it. You want to go ahead, when you get rated, you got about 15 to 30 seconds to do a magic moment and to hook an audience member to watching your stream. And when you're busy working on something and you're like getting rated and you're trying to not make your fingers get cut off, it's very hard to attract people to stay when you don't have the ability to put that magic moment in 15 seconds.
Right.